for a sandwich.
Yeah.
All right, let's call this meeting to order of the Manistee Harbor Commission. July 15th, 1 p.m. I think we need to do an approval of the agenda. Has everybody had a chance to look that over?
Yes.
Good to me.
All right, if I can get a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes from the June 17th meeting?
I move the minutes be approved as read.
I will go ahead and second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Moving on to unfinished business. Mr. McCula and the 9th Street boat launch.
Well, the commission voted last meeting to pursue the development of 9th Street. We haven't had a formal Parks Commission meeting since that time. They did their annual bus tour, so this Thursday I'll be discussing that and asking them to work with the Harbor Commission to see what that site could possibly be in the future.
Excellent. Anybody have any other input on that? It sounds like we've had some both for and against that project.
Yeah, we, many years ago, 15 years ago, we received a grant to develop that. The city let that go, as I reported last month, because we didn't own the property. Half of it was owned by Consumers Energy at the time, and the majority of it was owned by Morton, and the city has leases to occupy and cross that. But we've since acquired the Morton portion, and so there's some opportunities. Word that I've heard over the years is that people in the neighborhood like to keep it quiet and secret and let the neighborhood use it. Citizens like it that it's a free launch. So, but there's certainly opportunities there.
Tom, what kind of response have you been getting?
Oh, strong, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Some really love it as is, but a lot want it cleaned up. And in my interpretation of what they're saying is the development they think would be nice is getting into money, be it grant money or what. And and I mentioned that if we get to the point we might have to start charging for launching. They go, oh, well, wait a minute,
Yeah.
So I think opinions are strong. I think we need to solicit opinions. I know we do in general, ask for public comment, and we publicize our agenda, but we might have to have a public meeting on this one. And if there is a committee formed between the two commissions, I would volunteer to serve on it.
I believe that should read that Tom wants to be the chair.
I got a question.
They're the larger commission.
Because it is an agenda item for this commission, is there any way of notifying the public that if they would like to make a public comment, they can come to this meeting and do so?
We publish the agendas monthly, so people know.
The news app did a big article on
saw
it
that.
too.
So that, okay, folks, we got plenty of seats here. Come and give your input.
By the time it winds its way through any committee and a commission and it appears as an agenda item on a council meeting, then you seem to get more interest. People will show up.
I guess now I gotta say, any public comments on agenda-related items? Guess not.
So in our monthly, we have a monthly meeting with our engineering firm, and there's probably 60 different projects that we discuss each month and add new ones, take some away. So I've added this as a discussion item. And I think the way to start would be to kind of create kind of a conceptual sketch, if you will, of what type of things could be there. Maybe do a loose cost estimate for that. Get reactions from the Harbor Commission, get reactions from the Parks Commission. And then through those processes, you guys are representing the harbor and the boaters and the community, and so you know, those boaters can certainly come to one of our meetings, they can certainly come to each of us individually. Same thing with the Parks Commission, same thing with City Council. But as you walk through these steps, we're gonna get feedback, and that design will kinda, I typically, those designs then get altered and kind of formed into what the public's really looking for. Do they want a kayak launch? Do they want fishing access? Do they want an improved boat launch? I mentioned it in the meeting, and of course the newspaper printed it, but today it's a non-pay site because it's kind of primitive, right?
Yep.
But I think if you start putting in $1 million into it, then certainly we need to fund future maintenance, we need to fund future replacement items. Then I think it completely justifies it as a pay site for launching. That doesn't mean to fish or to picnic or whatever. Those are my thoughts.
Our one, you know, the one-time pass, the season passes, that's good for all the launches, right?
Correct.
So yeah, $35, $40 for a resident.
Yeah, I mean, we did the similar thing when, and I was the engineering firm then, but when Arthur Street was redone, it was a pretty primitive site, it was non-pay, and there was just a couple picnic tables on the shoreline, and I think enough for 10 cars or something like that. The bathroom was pretty bad shape.
Outhouse.
Yeah, it was pretty bad shape, and so what we did is we leveraged a boating access site from the DNR waterways that paid for half of the restrooms, parking lot, and the new launch. And then we got 100% grant from the Great Lakes Fisheries Trust for that floating pier and the access to it, to provide access to the migratory fish species in the state. So, but the city still had to cough up, I mean, it was over a $400,000 project, so the city still had over $100,000 invested in that. And when you look at our monthly reports and our annual launch revenues that are bringing in 30 grand, 35 grand, I mean, it takes time to do that. And I know your next item is waterways grant, but I've already inquired about repaving First Street. And I've talked about that at previous meetings. The updated estimate I have just to repave what's there is $800,000. So reasonably, we could get half of that, but $400,000 still has to come out of the launch, you know, launch ramp fund or from capital improvement money from the city. So, and then we're gonna have to take those two projects and prioritize which one is more important. And
You know, it might not be a for sure next year thing. One thing might not be a bad idea, once we get something conceptualized, if we're gonna do a fall open house at the city marina, kind of incorporate that into an open house. Hey, here's
public input.
Here's our public input. What do you think about the Ninth Street project?
Mhm. Whenever you do big capital projects like this, realistically, they're on a 3-year time frame. From the time you say, let's go, to the planning, the design, the funding, you know, construction, it's about a 3-year process.
Good. Future, moving forward, I like it.
What's the annual payment on the marina?
I think it's about 35,000, and this is the last year of that. But that's, the boat launch is an enterprise fund, the marina is a separate enterprise fund, so those funds aren't commingled.
And the money you set for repaving, that is just the launch area, that is not the parking.
It's the big parking lot.
Oh, it is?
Just the big parking lot.
Okay.
And if, I mean, I'm sure you've been in that parking lot. It gets used a tremendous amount throughout the year for various things, but it's only got about 1.5 inches of pavement, and it's 50 years old.
Does,
The other thing is you got a lot of heavy equipment that runs through that parking lot
Absolutely.
in the freeze-thaw cycle. And so it's gonna break up that asphalt unbelievably.
does the carnival every year do much damage to that? Possible?
I think it's wear and tear. I wouldn't call it damage.
All right.
But yeah, we store snow there in the wintertime. We run heavy equipment in there. It's not in there in the spring, but yeah, it gets multi-use.
Very good. Anybody else on that one? Waterways, Jeff, anything more on that?
I think I covered it.
Covered that? Good. Hey, how about our First Street boat launch pay station?
So my staff has been working with Ed Bradford for the past month, and with the company that manufactured the machine. And first they thought it was one component, so they shipped us a new one. We swapped it out, put it in. It worked a little bit, but some functions didn't, so they sent us another component. We swapped out that one. Then the printer didn't work, so they swapped out a printer, and then that didn't work, but they thought it was the cabling, so they shipped out another one. So we pretty much replaced all the insides of that machine, and it's functioning. They got it up and running, I think, last Thursday, and then I believe on Saturday somebody put a $1 coin in it and jammed it up for the weekend. But the staff downstairs were able to get that cleared yesterday. But it's back and operating. So we have a new machine. I believe Ed has it ordered already. So there should be a new machine there for next year. I think you guys are aware we budgeted to replace that each year, but each year we get by with the old one. We just push that money into the next year. It's over. So now that the new machine has an old shell but new innards, I'm actually asking for a quotation to run power to the the Arthur Street, where the pay box is, and see if we can reinstall it there. And then we would use that pay box as kind of a backup if one site goes down or the other. At least we have that.
Thanks, I like it.
So let's hope that keeps generating revenue through because right now they're catching salmon, and
Yeah.
Our peak boat launching is in the next 6 weeks. So
I nominate Tom to stand down there with a coin change thing.
Where?
Have a guy do that. It used to be an in-person guy, wasn't
used
it?
to be an in-person with a little shack. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But just on a point, if somebody put a silver dollar in there, or dollar, they probably got it from the entity that gives dollar coins as their change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you go to the car wash and you put in a $20 bill for a $10 car wash, you're gonna get 10 silver dollars in change. And they're probably saying, what do I do with these? You know? So they're looking to offload them.
I think it was actually put into the card reader spot, so I think it was done kind of much just like.
That makes a lot more sense. Okay.
I've seen some that are white.
It wasn't me.
All right, moving on to reports. Harbor Master Marina Operations.
Marina's doing good. We've been pretty much full for last couple of weeks. Katie's actually got a compliment this morning from a boater that said, "Who's cleaning these bathrooms? They're fantastic. I'm responsible for the bathrooms in Grand Haven, and I need somebody to teach me how to make them look like this." Am I wrong? No. He took pictures of the cleaning products we use and said, "Man, I'm gonna go home and be a hero." So I think that's a feather on the cap to Katie and her staff. But things are going good there. City Council approved the 5-year Coast Guard double slip contract, so that helps our baseline revenues for each year. It's over $10,000 a year. Looking at what I reported last month, Veterans Memorial Park, I explained that we had a low bidder, but there were some concerns with some of the items in that low bid. We tried to vet those out with that contractor. They submitted, on one item, they submitted what they called shop drawings, and it was a very inferior product than what we had specified. It was basically buying it from Amazon instead of buying a commercial grade product. So we rejected that, and finally the contractor said, you have to give me another $300,000 if I'm gonna give you what you asked for.
And what was this for?
For the North Riverwalk Memorial Park.
Okay.
Reconstruction. So we're meeting, I think it's tomorrow, to start value engineering and trying to get that awarded. The Corps of Engineers, we submitted a joint permit because we've got to drive several piles in the current riprap to support a deck extension. So the joint DNR, or Eagle Corps permit was submitted. The Corps initiated, I believe it's called a 408 review, which is they look at real estate interests. It gets really technically in depth, and we think this is a result of when they dredged and damaged the Riverwalk last year. They didn't get into an in-depth review of the work they were about to do, so we think this is kind of a cover your butt type thing. But that could drag that out a little bit. The Riverwalk, the South Riverwalk project funded with some EDA money, is progressing. I was just meeting with the painters, so that's why I was late, I apologize. But they believe they've got about 3 weeks left to do all the painting down there. The landscape contractor is trying to build the seating area and the shade structures behind the college building, but have run into some utility conflicts. They resolved the first one, dug deeper and found more, so they're working with the engineers on that. The city manager and I met on site with the Corps of Engineers down where the Riverwalk was damaged. They're in kind of a legal review right now of whether or not they have any liability for the damages that were caused, because we've submitted a claim to try to reimburse us for the restoration work we had to do, so we're waiting to hear there. The Corps has the dredge of the outer harbor out for bids. They expect that work will be started in late September, early October-ish, depending on how the bids come in, and then that contractor, what other harbors they're doing, and so they do this harbor, then they move to the next one, and so nothing concrete on that, but it'll be this fall. They are still working on doing some sampling in the river for PFAS. There was an upland site that had PFAS, and so now they're doing their due diligence in the river, if there's any existence in the sediments there, and then we'll be looking for a permanent or a dredge disposal area for silty sediments that are not the sandy that we have out at the outer harbor. So, and then the Colonel's coming up for a meet and greet. I think that's in a couple weeks. So a lot of interaction going on with the Corps right now, which is good. I think that's it.
New business, anything? I don't think. Public comment. Nobody, not everybody at once.
Anything else to report on the marina?
All right, comments from us. Anything?
No comments.
Finding with the weather getting in, or weather being decent, I've been in the water a lot more, and I've seen you've been selling some chunks of fuel, it looks like. You've had some big boats that have been slurping down. Place looks great. I love rolling by and seeing the kids either through the window in the little dock shed or the fuel shed or on the dock, always helping, always pleasant. Yeah, just pass on our thanks. They're doing a great job, it seems.
One thing that we just talked about, Katie started charging for short-term docking along the Riverwalk. We used to have courtesy docking there, but we find that people stay a long time. Mm-hmm. And then when the marina's busy, like her example was, there was a boat parked that we didn't even know. It went down, and we had a boat that was going to pay $100 to berth that night. So now when people ask and contact us, we're charging them like a 4-hour rate of $25. Is that correct? $20, sorry. Which I think is reasonable, and if you're jumping off and going shopping or going to get lunch or something, you're going to be there in a couple hours. So.
And there's other courtesy docks as well if they want to go upriver a little bit.
Yeah, and it helps the marina staff to track who's there. Mm-hmm. So when they're we know we've got a vessel that's inbound and going to be there, let's put them down a little further, that type of thing. So.
Oh, absolutely, good idea.
Marina's looking good, looking busy. Are we able to track, we're spending some money to market it. Are we able to track, is that partly responsible for the uptick?
I think it's part of it. I don't know that we can put metrics on it, but I think keeping the grounds up, the renovation of the building, like I've said before, a couple years ago, having dock attendants trained and experienced and good weather, reasonable fuel prices, I mean, all that adds to the mix. If the fishing's good, business is good, you know.
And the River Street to support it.
Yeah, absolutely. River Street, the rest of the town, yeah, all of it matters. And the marketing, you did the downtown promotions. We still have the Docwa subscription. I haven't seen that many come in through Docwa.
It's been quiet this year.
4 or 5 that I can think of. Because we get emails when they
Okay.
do a reservation online.
Okay, that's what,
But the mix of it all has been going well.
We get a lot of repeat customers every summer. They'll come in and stay 1 or 2 nights.
Yeah.
So, a lot of repeat.
and that should build, the little private seating area, is that getting good use?
It
The patio.
does.
It looks nice.
People enjoy it,
Good.
yeah, for sure.
And also something I've noticed is working from home quite a bit, having the YouTube on in the background, boat show, loopers and whatnot. We've gotten this past, within the last year, I bet you there's half a dozen loopers that have stopped in that have done in-depth, just, oh, what a beautiful marina and this and that, and, well, this piling's loose, but other than that, just nothing but glowing reviews of the marina and the facilities. So, yeah, kudos to everybody on that as well.
And we actually have a looper there now, staying along the seawall, and they come for about a month. And we had one last year too, so,
That must be that little boat right by Maple.
yeah.
little-
They actually, yeah, they dock their boat and then they fly home for a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, so, yeah. Okay, nice neighbor rental, so it works for us.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
When we were talking about all the marketing and stuff, that's one of the things we talked about is geographically, our harbor is a little bit harder to get into, just the way the shoreline lays out. But if we could get them here, they'll come back and they'll stay. And I think the numbers are bearing that out.
Absolutely.
I do have a question. Do we allow rafting at the marina? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Mhm.
we don't, I mean, we haven't, we
Okay, because I have quite a few acquaintances that are in the Chicago to Mackinac race, and that was one of their biggest issues coming home, is that there weren't enough spots, and it's quite a ways for them to pull in. And they asked if they could raft
oh, yeah.
with the other sailboats that are in the slips that don't have a problem with that, because they raft all over the country, just see Mackinac Island. But,
My experience has been, especially when I worked there in college, we rafted frequently, especially during the return from Mackinac. We haven't had the demand to do that much, but all it takes is the right weather event, and it forces everybody in. And if we got into that, we certainly would try to accommodate them. We actually had a dockhand get knocked off a dock while fueling a vessel last week. It was last week. And so we had ladders that were on the previous dock system that were removed, and so we deployed some of those into the marina. And one of the concerns I had was let's make sure that they're not, an obstruction to being able to raft if we get into that situation.
okay.
Yeah, we've never had anybody ask. A lot of the sailboats that come in now don't want to be by anybody else because they're nice sailboats that come in from the Chicago Mackinac race, so they want an actual dock.
Okay.
Anything else, Jeff? Wait.
I got a few things. First, last meeting, we were given the brochures about the marina and the rental space. I got a chance to actually, after the meeting, to take them home and to review those. They look fantastic. I think they are absolute top shelf products. I'm an old newspaper copy person, so I went over looking for, any kind of little mistake. No, they're perfect, they do a good job, and I think they really market what we have to offer. So kudos to whoever did that, you're very welcome. Also, at the end of June, I went up sailing on Lake Charlevoix, and while I was waiting for the boat, I went to their marina. Of course, they have a beautiful marina too, just like we do. About the only difference that I saw, maybe something we could do for ours, they got like this little sandwich board that they sit out in front. And welcome to Charlevoix Marina, current weather is this, current barometer is this, well, water temperature is this. I just didn't know if that would be something we could put out, just maybe a little bit more inviting. That was really it regarding that.
Anybody, anything else? I'll take a motion.
I have one thing. If any of you are looking for a part-time job this fall, when Katie's dock hands return back to school, and we're gonna have some openings and need some help, so. Yeah, or if you know anybody that's available. For what?
For a month.
For about a month, yeah.
Let's talk about the wage and benefit package, please.
Negotiable.
That might be something you might approach homeschoolers for.
We go through the same thing at DPW. It's and the best kids leave the earliest,
No, I get you. All right, if nobody has anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.